It's my privilege to welcome you to the 2024 May Wright Sewall Leadership Award Ceremony and Luncheon. Thank you for being here to support the historic Propylaeum and of course to celebrate this year's inspiring honorees, Deana Hayworth, Chief Executive Officer of Hirons, and Dr. Virginia Caine, Director and Chief Medical Officer of the Marion County Health Department. I'd also like to thank our generous sponsors today, our gold sponsor, the Marion County Public Health Department, our silver sponsor, Health and Hospital Corporation, and our table sponsor, Hirons. So, as I mentioned, like May Wright Sewall, Deana Hayworth and Dr. Virginia Caine have contributed immeasurably to the civic health of our community. As it happens, both of today's honorees have also contributed immensely to the physical health of our community. Both have worked diligently and to remarkable effect to improve the quality of life for the most vulnerable in our city's residents. Both are bold, tenacious leaders, as committed to the success of other women as they are to their own. And based on their very long list of accomplishments, you might ask yourself, do they ever sleep?
No.
We know that answer. Well, based on all the accomplishments in her life, it would be easy to believe that May Wright Sewall never slept either. By the time the Indianapolis Propylaeum Association was incorporated in 1888, with May as its first president, she was well known in Indianapolis as an educator, an intellectual, and a suffragist. In 1875, she was one of a small group of women who founded the Indianapolis Women's Club. In 1878, she was among a group of 9 women and one brave man who met in secret to form the Indianapolis Equal Suffrage Society. And between 1880 and 1883, she helped lead the ultimately unsuccessful campaign to amend Indiana's Constitution to allow women the right to vote. And somehow, in the midst of that campaign, she also found time to establish the Girls' Classical School. That was in 1881, with a curriculum based on Harvard's entrance exam for women. In 1883, she convened the first meeting of the Art Association of Indianapolis, which, as we know, subsequently became the Indianapolis Art Museum and then Newfields. And for those of you who are thinking, how did she do all that? Let me remind you, that was only an 8-year period between 1875 and 1883. It would be another 5 years before she actually founded the Propylaeum. And perhaps some of you are surprised to learn, with as much as May Wright Sewall has accomplished, how we weren't taught about this woman in school. But here's something I suspect you won't be surprised at all about. While many great people admired May's work and her work ethic, there were plenty others who criticized her for being too dominant. We know she clamored. Use that word. I suppose today they'd use other words like difficult, demanding, whatever popular terms are for a bright, hardworking, passionate woman determined to make a difference. Lucky for us, May never let her critics slow her down, and neither have Deana Hayworth or Dr. Caine, or many of the incredible women that we see in this room today, including some of our past speakers and nominees for this award. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for helping us keep the legacy of May Wright Sewall alive and moving forward. We think this is incredibly important work, and one that those of us here as volunteers and members have dedicated a lot of time and resources to. So to begin our presentation of awards, I'd first like to introduce Julie Petter, a fellow board member, who will share the nomination remarks from the Propylaeum's previous executive director, Allie Brown, who is our first nominee, Dr. Virginia Caine. So Julie.
It is absolutely my pleasure and honor to be able to be here today to celebrate Dr. Virginia Caine. I had the privilege of working with Dr. Caine many years ago when she chaired a campaign for the American Heart Association. And I was blown away by her professional accolades and accomplishments at the time. What I didn't realize till I started working with Dr. Caine was, although she was the chief medical officer for the Marion County Health Department, she was a practicing physician. She was carrying a beeper, and patients were calling her about her medical conditions, and she was also having conversations with patients. She's one of the most hardest working women I've ever met. Dr. Caine is a big deal nationally. Some of you may be aware of all of this, but she has served as a past president for the American Public Health Association, the nation's oldest and largest public health organization. She is the president-elect of the National Medical Association, the NMA, and the chair of the NMA Infectious Disease section, co-chairing of the NMA's HIV/AIDS section, and member of the NMA's COVID-19 task force. She's currently a member of the CDC's Board of Scientific Counselors, Deputy Director of Infectious Disease, and one of the CDC's 19 federal advisory committees. Wow. So that's a big deal nationally. Dr. Virginia Caine has changed the state of healthcare in Indianapolis. As the director of Marion County Health Department, she fearlessly led the 13th largest city in the country and many of the surrounding counties through a global pandemic. And we all remember what that was like. Her quick actions and smart decision-making saved thousands and thousands of lives and made Indianapolis one of the safest large cities during the pandemic. A very, very difficult time. Her forward thinking doesn't just show in her response to global pandemic work. Dr. Caine has directly attacked public health crises that have plagued our city for years, such as the effect of gun violence on the community, taking a leading role in fighting for the lives of pregnant people and babies, committing to make Marion County the first major city health department to offer testing as a diagnosis for autism. Dr. Caine has done all of this while leading with grace. She's a shining example of May Wright Sewall's mission to create lasting change for our most vulnerable people in Indianapolis. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Lisa Harris, CEO of Eskenazi Health, deeply committed to civic leader in her own right.
Thank you, Julie. It means a great deal to me to have been given the opportunity today to introduce my friend and deeply respected colleague, Dr. Virginia Caine. I've been involved in the work of Eskenazi Health for nearly 4 decades, and to our great good fortune, Dr. Caine has been Marion County's Chief Medical Officer and Director of the Marion County Public Health Department for every one of those years. Her work over this time challenges my capacity to describe, especially given my aversion to the superlatives that, being so overused, have long ago lost their ability to appropriately differentiate the true outliers among us. So how about some of these? Unflagging, unremitting, my personal favorite, indefatigable, undaunted, unflinching, indomitable, ardent, fervent, impassioned, stalwart, steadfast, unwavering, forward-looking, and forward-thinking. Dr. Caine is all those things and more. Time and again throughout her career, she's taken on challenges that many people wouldn't touch. She was instrumental in setting up the first nationwide physician education program on AIDS for the National Medical Association. This was later duplicated, as were many things from the National Medical Association, duplicated by the American Medical Association. She led a countywide process with local primary care agencies dealing with HIV/AIDS to create the city's first integrated HIV healthcare delivery system. She was principal investigator. We all know about Ryan White. How many know that Dr. Virginia Caine was the principal investigator of the Ryan White Title III funds, which established the first AIDS clinics in major city hospitals, 10 community health centers, and resources for community-based HIV/AIDS prevention programs. As co-director of the Indianapolis Healthy Babies Initiative, she helped drive our city's Black infant mortality rate, once the highest in the nation, down by 46%.
Wow.
That's a big number. You don't need a p-value to decide whether that's clinically significant or not. When it became clear that we needed a new Wishard hospital, she brought the respect that she has earned across our community to bear in garnering support for what we now know as Eskenazi Health, and I'm deeply grateful to you for that. She championed safe syringe access and support, turning back a growing local wave of hepatitis infection. And when COVID-19 arrived in central Indiana, Dr. Caine made the decisions she knew were right, without regard to whether they were popular. And she saved untold numbers of lives in the process. As Julie noted, she's pledged to make the Marion County Public Health Department the first among U.S. cities to offer autism testing and diagnosis. And last month made a commitment of $2 million in funding to community-based organizations to fight youth gun violence in 2025. May Wright Sewall, as you've heard, considered it her personal mission to create lasting change for the most vulnerable among us. I can't think of a more fitting person to honor in the name of that mission than Dr. Virginia Caine.
Wow. Lisa, Dr. Harris, for that introduction, and my co-star for Dress for Success, Go Red. And I just really want to give my thanks to the board of directors and the members of the Indianapolis Propylaeum for this tremendous honor, okay? And I'm especially delighted to be recognized today alongside my good friend, Deana Hayworth. Okay. We've worked so well together many times over, many years, and I'm just very proud to be honored today, especially in the presence of some of your former recipients. Miss Cordelia Burke's back there. Okay. One of my mentors, and always appreciative of the advice she's given me over the past, and others such as Curly Mays, who I've worked with. Now, you know, I do read, I'm a nerd. And I read that in 1920, Booth Tarkington wrote, the three most prominent citizens of Indianapolis in their day were Benjamin Harrison, James Whitcomb Riley, and May Wright Sewall. And I bet if we went out and said those three names to every person walking along Delaware Street or up on 16th Street today, many people would recognize the names Benjamin Harrison or James Whitcomb Riley or both, but I'm afraid very few would know the name May Wright Sewall. So I'm deeply appreciative of not only being able to receive this award today, but to receive an award in her name and to be part of the work that we are all doing to lift up the legacies of women like her. Because as people say so often these days, representation matters. And it doesn't just matter in the present. Here we have a woman who was, in her time, internationally known for her work on women's rights, education, and world peace. She helped to found the Indianapolis Women's Club, the Indianapolis Propylaeum, the Art Association of Indianapolis, which later became Indianapolis Museum of Art, and the John Hirons Art Institute, which later became the Hirons School of Art. And she served as president of the National Council of Women and the International Council of Women, whose home at 13th and College was often a gathering place for abolitionists, suffragists, where the city's intellectuals would gather every week to discuss the major topics of the day. But unlike the homes of President Harrison or James Whitcomb Riley, May's home was not preserved. And there are no field trips for Hoosier children to learn about May Wright Sewall, like the ones they take to the Harrison or Riley homes. There are no visits to her gravesite in Crown Hill Cemetery. And yet, in fighting as she did so many years to secure U.S. women the right to vote, a right she herself never got an opportunity to exercise because the 19th Amendment was ratified 1 month after her death. But in helping to win the right of women in this country to vote, I would argue she left behind an incredible legacy, just as if she was a poet or even a president of the United States. And now I wonder what it might mean to generations of women here in Indiana or around the country to have heard her story when they were little girls. Who knows? Maybe we would have had a woman governor by now. Or maybe more than 27% of our state senators and representatives. We have 2 of our state representatives here, okay? 3 of our representatives. Sorry, I try not to neglect the males, Greg. But people say it's hard to be what you cannot see. But I think it also means that if we change what we see, we change what we can be. And that's one of the main reasons I answered the call to become president of the National Medical Association later this year. Now, the NMA, I want to tell you about it. It's the largest and oldest national organization representing American physicians. We were the ones on Air Force One, Lyndon B. Johnson, signed the Medicare-Medicaid Act when the American Medical Association said, no way. And so we have been an organization that leading force for parity and justice in medicine, but more important than that, the elimination of disparities in health. Now, in eliminating those disparities, it means that we have to have more black doctors and medical professionals from diverse backgrounds. Last year, the Journal of American Medicine Open Network published a study and found that black people in U.S. counties with more black primary care physicians lived longer than those in those counties with fewer black primary care providers. Other studies show that when black patients are treated by black doctors, they're more satisfied with their health care, they're more likely to receive preventative care they need, and they may be more likely to agree with preventative recommendations like blood tests, flu shots. But the study even published last fall highlighted the first to show that black residents in counties with more black physicians, whether or not they actually see those doctors, had a lower mortality from all causes. And it also showed that these counties had lower rates and mortality rates between black and white residents. And so the finding of this longer life expectancy, even in counties with just a single black physician. So I don't do these things to become president of the National Medical Association or accept this wonderful award because I want to put myself in the spotlight. And let me just say, I'm in this spotlight because I have an incredible staff. They're dynamic. They know their job. They're passionate. They're 24/7, okay? But I do this job because I hope girls from all backgrounds, they see me. So they know that they can be me. So they know that they can become an infectious disease specialist, or they can even become a CEO of a hospital, or a county medical officer, or head of some local health department, or a medical researcher, or maybe head of a public relations firm, but that they can do it. And maybe in this community, because I know wherever she goes, that person will be saving lives just by being there. So by changing what the people around her see, and then changing what they can be, I like to think that May would be proud of both of us. And thank you again for the work that you do. And for this honor, I look forward with working with all of you tirelessly, folks. I need you to be tirelessly, okay, helping me in this fight to make Indianapolis one of the healthiest places in this community, but with diversity, inclusion, and passion, especially for our young girls. Thank you.
Dr. Caine, it gives me great pleasure to give you the 2024 May Wright Sewall Award in recognition of your civic leadership and outstanding service to our community. The flowers are yours as well. You should hear for a moment if you like.
For a moment.
Yes,
Thank you
it
so
might be
much.
less dangerous. Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce fellow board member Althea Cooper, who is going to share her nomination with her remarks for our second nominee, Deana Hayworth. Althea?
Thank you, Susan. Okay, it doesn't move. I'm super excited to be a part of this celebration, and today I have the honor of sharing why we nominated my dear friend Deana Hayworth for the 2024 May Wright Sewall Leadership Award. Deana Hayworth is leading a life that May Wright Sewall would be glad to endorse. Deana does clamor. As the CEO of Hirons, the largest female-owned marketing and public relations firm in the state, she has worked her way up in the ranks, carrying talented women with her as she climbed. Deana's perspective and commitment to the people of Indiana is evident in the clients she has taken on and the campaigns she has launched. When public health or safety is on the line, everyone from the local government to the state house turns to Deana. Deana's ability to communicate clearly through difficult situations has influenced many Hoosiers to live healthier lives. Her talent for taking complicated health situations and breaking them down into manageable steps saved countless lives during the pandemic. While the nature of her job keeps her clients in the forefront, Deana deserves to be celebrated. May would be thrilled to present Deana with this award for the work she has done to better the lives of all of us. Now, just only 2 miles away from where we stand today, to honor the legacy of May Wright Sewall stands an iconic monument to the legacy of another bright, hardworking, and passionate woman who was determined to make a difference for the women in Indianapolis and around the country, the Madam Walker Legacy Center. The president of Madam Walker Legacy Center, Christian Little Strickland, just happens to be cut from the same determined cloth. Consider that Christian accepted the job of president of an organization known primarily for its theater space in 2021, of course right in the middle of the pandemic, or COVID, or that since she became president not quite 3 years ago, the Madam Walker Legacy Center has retired its debts, announced plans to create an endowment, secured seed funding to develop an outdoor rooftop performance venue and gathering space behind that famous Walker Theater sign. And let's not forget who is headlining that Legacy Fest this summer. My own true favorite. I've seen them once this year already. I'll be there. Boys to Men. Please welcome the woman behind it all, the Madam Walker Legacy Center President, Christian Little Strickland.
Thank you, Althea. I am so happy to be here with all of you today, and especially happy to get to introduce my friend and ally, and most recently, member of the Madam Walker Legacy Center Board, Deana Hayworth. I think the best part of introducing someone you love at an event like this is getting to brag on them in a way they would never brag on themselves, and that's especially true for Deana. You might know that last July, Deana became CEO of Hirons, a full-service strategic communications and marketing firm with a 40-year history here in central Indiana. You might know that Hirons recently became a WBENC certified women's business enterprise, making it the largest woman-owned communications firm in the state. You might even know that Deana serves on the boards of the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Indianapolis Progress Committee, the Central Indiana Women's Business Center, Indy Chamber, Downtown Indy Inc., Marketing Board, and the Madam Walker Legacy Center. Or that earlier this year, she became the first woman to serve as president of the board of the Crossroads of America Council. You may not know that when public health and safety is on the line, people from across the political spectrum, from the halls of the local government to the governor's mansion, turn to Deana. Now, technically, I'm not supposed to reveal Deana's clients, but maybe I could mention that the successful rollout of Indiana's 988 hotline, the It's Our Shot Hoosiers COVID vaccine program, and Indiana's Know the Facts opioid use disorder awareness campaign had one very talented person in common, and just leave it at that. Or perhaps that since Dr. Harris and Dr. Caine are here today, I could remind everyone how amazing it was that the Marion County referendum to fund construction of Eskenazi Hospital passed with 85% voter approval. Hear, hear. In fact, from our city's arts and culture scene to our beloved sports teams to our systems of public health, infrastructure, transit, and education, if we dusted this city for fingerprints, an incredible number of initiatives to save and improve the lives of Hoosiers would have Deana's prints all over them. I think you could say a very similar thing about May Wright Sewall and Madam C.J. Walker, who both left their fingerprints all over our city's most important institutions and spent decades working to improve the lives and opportunities of women in particular. Although their tenures in Indianapolis overlap by just 6 years, it's easy to imagine that they would have staunchly supported the other's fight for equality and equity. But if either of them were here today, I think what would impress them most about Deana is not simply the doors she's entered, but the doors she's opened for others. Yes, Deana started her career at an entry-level position at Hirons, and I was at Borshop at the same time. We grew up together here. And worked her way up the ranks, but she's brought talented women with her every step of the way. If you talk with her, you're almost guaranteed to hear her talk up the talents or accomplishments of another woman, never herself. So I'm very glad to be the one that gets to talk her up today for a change. She deserves to be celebrated. So please help me welcome my friend, Deana Hayworth.
I
guess I should have known Dr. Caine was going to preach. I love it. Well, I'm super honored to be here today, and my thanks to the Propylaeum for this amazing honor. I do a lot of work around women in leadership and am committed to always recognizing those who have come before me and had admittedly a much harder road. So a few of them, Dr. Harris and Dr. Caine, are here, and then also the chair of our board, Ann Kneifel, is here as well. So Ann, say hi. She really likes to be behind the scenes. So Ann has been a really instrumental part of our agency's growth for the entire time that I've been there as well. I also have my friend John Kroll here from Franklin College, and I'm very honored to serve on the board of trustees for the college. And I mention that not just because I'm proud, but also because it was the first institution in Indiana and just the 7th in the nation to go co-ed by admitting women. And that was in 1842, just 8 short years after the college was founded and 2 years before May was born. We also had the first black student to graduate from Franklin College. His name was Arthur Wilson, and he earned his degree in 1902. So I say that because I'm so proud to come from a place that prioritized racial equity and gender parity since before it was cool. I'm also very grateful. I attended Franklin College on a full ride scholarship for academics, and I am a great example of how education endowments can change lives, because there was no way that this girl who grew up in a really small town in southern Indiana eating government cheese was going to go to college any other way. So, John, thank you for being here. Also, my friend Tom Hirons is here. He's our founder of Hirons. Many of you know and love him like I do. Yesterday I celebrated my 24th anniversary at the firm, which seems a little nuts to think about. I met with a woman who was on her first day, and I realized that she was born after I started working at Hirons. So I know some of you can feel my pain on that, but Tom has always had a welcoming place for people with bold ideas and determination and grit to succeed, and so I'm very proud to carry on his legacy. My longtime mentor, even though she hates it when I say this, is Jody Paris. Say hi to everybody, Jody. So again, she is one of the unsung heroes in our community. Many of you know her from her work both in the environmental space and for the NAACP. She taught me really early how to prioritize marginalized communities, how to engage with people of color, what environmental justice means for our community, and how to rock outreach and education in a way that we may have made famous at Hirons. So thank you for your guidance and your mentorship. I've been getting some recent accolades for my role as the first woman to serve as the board chair for the Crossroads of America Council, Boy Scouts of America, formerly, more on that later. But as I talk to folks in the community, I realize that women have been involved in scouting forever, right? Every Eagle Scout that I talk to, Tom Hirons is my favorite Eagle Scout, by the way, says, you know what, Deana, I would not have become a scout if my mom wouldn't have made me. I would never have made my Eagle if my mom wouldn't have pushed me. My dad was at the meetings, he did the things, but it was my mom that made sure that I got this done. So I was very honored to serve as the co-chair with Dr. Caine and Jim Morris a few years ago for our governor's luncheon for scouting, where we may have raised the most money they've ever raised for the program in a lunch. So Jim has been a great advocate for scouting and for involving a lot of you. We share a mutual dream that kindergartners across the state will one day say the Scout oath together. On my honor, I will do my best. If you think about every kindergartner saying that every morning when they wake up, on my honor, I will do my best, that could change their lives, right? What if they got together every week with 20 or 30 of their friends and said that together? What if they did that all the way through high school? What could that mean for our kids?
I'm super grateful that the Boy Scouts of America will be renamed Scouting America in honor of our inclusion of young women. So this is a really important moment for our organization. Christian hinted at this a little bit, but there's a lot of truth to the fact that our job in PR is to stay behind the scenes. We're advocating for our clients. You should know that's true because when you see the Caitlin Clark coverage, you don't think, oh gosh, she must have a great PR person. Right, Jen? We're thinking about her. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about this. So we want our clients' communication to appear very natural and effortless, no matter how much we are sweating under what we call our cloak of invisibility. So think about that, right? Our job is to be behind the scenes. This doesn't sound very different than what a lot of women try to do every day. They're making other people's wishes come true. They're making sure their kid has a packed lunch. They're making sure that it looks easy while we do it, right? And so I want to think about this, that many women are making those around them look good while wearing this same cloak. So I promise I'm not going to do the monologue from Barbie. I thought maybe Dr. Caine was going to do it. But I will say that it's one thing to make yourself invisible when you're being paid to do it, like I sometimes is, but I want women everywhere to be visible. So our team at Hirons has worked really hard to become a certified woman-owned business recently, which is super exciting. I'd like to tell you that our road to certification was a walk in the park. If the park was made of paperwork and the flowers were deadlines and an endless list of to-dos. So Dr. Glover, who certifies minority businesses in our state, certainly knows that. But there are some advantages to our certification. And for me, it means that it's another chance for women to stand up and be counted. So as to be seen and to be heard as a female CEO, and we have a majority of women in our workforce and on our management team. We have, as an agency, long been involved with NABO, with the Indy Chamber's Women in Business Retreat, and with the Central Indiana Women's Center with Dress for Success and the Madam Walker Legacy Center. We believe that women matter and that their voice should be heard. So all of you, I hope you leave today with this headline, that we need to stand up and be counted as women who run and own businesses, who serve in high-ranking political positions, who lead government agencies and educational institutions, health systems, and community organizations. I also want to make sure that we show gratitude for those among us who are allies and advocates like Tom and Jim Morris and Greg Porter. As we think about this moment, and that May dedicated 50 years of her life from when she joined the society to her death, she wanted people to stand up and be counted in our democracy. And I think she would be so amazed by what all of you and we have accomplished together. And I hope you keep showing up and speaking up and standing up to be counted. Thank you.
So Deana, gives me great pleasure to give you this 2024 May Wright Sewall Leadership Award, thanks to your many outstanding civic contributions and leadership. Thank you. And yes, the flowers are yours as well, but you're welcome to leave them here for now if you'd like. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This was incredible. I feel like I have a lot of work to do now. I thought I was doing okay, but I really, feeling light at this moment. But let us just recognize our two awardees one more time, please.